Anatons, connecting professionals.
बहुत डीप में बहुत इन डेप्थ जाने वाले हैं इंट्यून के बारे में रिक्वायरमेंट सो फॉर दिस लैब what you require you need to have hyper-v settings profile application everything which are configured by this gentleman, okay. And also what he's doing, he's also looking for the existing device. For example, like I have Windows devices, Intune and MAM policies work. So as soon you do the enrollment, your device having gets the ring fencing apps. Okay, so one app with the app lock and the second one is without. So personal one is either if you have Hotmail.
Yeah, regarding the lab for the prerequisite, do we need a real device or is it in
So
the cloud?
Hyper-V, for Hyper-V, you need to require a device. Okay, and I don't offer you, like, I don't say that you go and do Azure VM or something. That is there 30 days, that is free, but I don't recommend because I see so many of subscriptions, they have like people, they have been charged unnecessary. So thank you so much everyone, thanks for joining again. कल के क्लास में इंट्यून का जो था एक प्रोडक्ट ओवरव्यू किया था कि एज ए प्रोडक्ट माइक्रोसॉफ्ट इंट्यून क्या है। हमने उसमें उसके प्रोडक्ट के फीचर्स के बारे में जाना, प्रोडक्ट व्हाट इट इज ऑल अबाउट एंड हाउ डज product stands in cloud and where does it fit in the Microsoft ecosystem and what sort of services does it leverage or क्या क्या facility as a being yeah, as you were talking about the unified endpoint management software, what do we expect this software to do, okay. सो सारी चीजें हमने कल डिस्कस की थी। आज हम बहुत डीप में बहुत इन डेप्थ जाने वाले हैं इंट्यून के बारे में। तो पूरा आर्किटेक्चर समझेंगे, ओवरऑल लाइसेंसिंग फिर से समझेंगे। आज हमारा एक होमवर्क होगा जो आपको नेक्स्ट वीक तक कंप्लीट करना है। सो few things I have in my mind, and in this end of the class we will set up the lab demo, okay, and then we'll start gradually working on side by side, ठीक है। So first thing first, what is agenda? So agenda, first thing we'll talk about the doubts and questions, okay. You might have in your mind yesterday ka jo session tha, I had so many questions, people are asking like कुछ समझा नहीं सर, क्या मतलब प्रोडक्ट के बारे में आपने डिस्कशन किया ना ऑल। सो यस, आई दैट वाज द प्राइमरी थॉट ऑफ माइंड कि पहले प्रोडक्ट समझा सकते हैं, उसके बाद प्रोडक्ट के फीचर समझते हैं, देन ग्रेजुअली गेट इनटू मोर इनटू डेप्थ, देन हैंड्स ऑन डर्टी योर हैंड्स एंड स्टार्ट लर्निंग। सो माइक्रोसॉफ्ट इंट्यून का डाउट सेशन, डाउट क्या है, उसके बाद उसका आर्किटेक्चर एंड पिलर्स समझेंगे, फीचर्स क्या-क्या हैं, उसमें बेनिफिट्स क्या है, लाइसेंसिंग सेंसिंग टर्म क्या है, मैम क्या है, एमडीएम कैसे काम करेगा, फिर कोर्स का ओवरऑल स्ट्रक्चर, इस कोर्स में क्या-क्या इंक्लूडेड है, एंड देन लास्ट वी विल हैव Q&A एंड सम टू डू थिंग्स दैट विल टेक एज अ टेक अवे, ओके। सो विदाउट taking much time, let's talk about the doubts and questions. So how many have you guys had a doubt after yesterday's session ki क्या क्या हो सकता है इसकी capabilities? Like I have wrote it down, some of them which I had earlier in my mind. So किसी के दिमाग में आए थे कुछ questions? Silence
Yeah,
is,
Vaibhav.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, Vaibhav, I just wanted to know about the more in Autopilot, how the device get added and how the vendor is adding the devices in our tenant.
Mm-hmm.
Those question I have.
Okay, okay, that is way beyond. I mean, I think अभी हम beginner level पे चल रहे हैं, but
Okay.
yes, that is also covered in this slide. Okay, so what is device management? First of all, what is device? Anyone can give me idea?
Device is nothing but the platform where operating system installed.
Right.
And it's from the operation. Yeah.
Correct. So anything which carries operating system and does have a functionality feature, that is called device. So in our case, we will be working with Windows, Mac OS, iOS, Android, and Linux. Okay. So in endpoint management, when I'm talking about the infra, so these are the most common devices, are the primarily the one which exists and we are currently working on. So we need to manage these devices, okay, and managing these devices which are coming from the different vendors, consisting different operating system on that. So sometimes it's very crucial to manage these devices, and इन डिवाइसेस को मैनेज करना, इन डिवाइसेस पे नेसेसरी अपडेट्स पुश करना, इंश्योर करना कि कंप्लायंस में है डिवाइसेस, सिक्योरिटी बेसलाइंस इंटैक्ट है, और जो भी डेटा है whether it's there on the device or whether it's in transit, it is not being breached. Okay, so device management is overall, it's a big task. Okay, as an IT admin, um, everyone is aware of the, if you give some device to someone, so you ensure, even though your personal device also, you ensure that your passwords are not getting leaked, and your opened browser history and all those stuff, bookmarks and all those should not gone, and all lots of things, okay, as a personal. But this is, we are talking about the enterprise level. तो यहाँ पे कैसे मैनेज करना है, why device management is necessary. So device management is necessary. If we cannot manage the device, it will be very difficult to take the necessary action in case if there is anything happens, like if there is any mismanagement happen, if there is any uh, lost or stolen, task happens, anything which is, because you own the device, it is part of your organization, and you ensure that yes, management of these devices are quite necessary, correct? Why do we need cloud-based device management? So cloud is something which is scalable. Okay, as I think yesterday we talked about it. कि cloud में कैसा है, आप अपनी flexibility के हिसाब से you can leverage the necessary scalability. आप चीजों को बढ़ा सकते हो, घटा सकते हो, manage कर सकते हो without any sort of extra mile. Okay, ना आपको कुछ extra इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर खड़ा करना है, ना नेटवर्क सेटअप करना है, ना एम्प्लॉइज रखने हैं, ना ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम लाइसेंसेस लेने हैं, एप्लीकेशंस के, nothing like that. Okay, you don't need to acquire a big space to construct your infrastructure, your data centers and all, and every now and then you need to keep an eye, if there is any heat on the machine, then you need to do a cooling for those devices, and so many things and so on. Okay, so that is why cloud is right now in full of boom, and everyone is looking forward, moving ahead, shifting their data, services, data and everything from one on-premises infrastructures to another. So the biggest question is why, what is Microsoft Intune? What does it do? What does it cater? Okay, so I think yesterday we have already talked about much in depth in, what is Intune and all, but just in general, I'm just telling you, Microsoft is a cloud-based solution. Okay, this is more of given for the endpoint management. Okay, here you manage users, here you manage your devices, group policies, okay, and all sort of things that you feel like you were doing in SCCM or your on-premises, software, and that is all thing that is combined here. Okay, now the capabilities of Intune, now you can leverage this with your on-premises infrastructure as well. So if you are still having Windows 10 and Windows 11 devices which are domain joined, those can also be shifted in your cloud through Intune. Okay, there is a way of doing it, that is called co-management. So that helps you to doing it. Why should we use Intune? So again, Intune is coming from a Microsoft ecosystem. It's such a big brand, and we are all combined in a ecosystem. We are all plugged in. So like data servers, SQL and all those coming from Microsoft, your operating system, Windows 10, 11, all those coming from Microsoft. So it becomes more easy to opt another service without at any, thought, correct? You don't get offended if you are being asked by you seeing numerous things with you, why don't you add one more thing that will also help you in this way? Okay, so sometimes you get carried away, you feel like, okay, fine, why not? So what is the life cycle of a device in Intune? So we'll talk about that. That's we have in the slide. First we do the enrollment, then we deploy applications, then we protect those sensitive information, and then how do we retire and uh, delete the device in case of theft or stolen sort of things or misplaced. And how does Intune integrate with secure and protected services? So MDM and MAM, we talked about it. Then there are other compliances which are part of this, like conditional access. So we have a dedicated slide on this. What is the architecture of Intune? We have already discussed more of the entire architecture and more in detailed and in depth. Okay. How does Intune manage applications? So there is MAM way, which is called mobile applications management. So using that, you all like set the policies and all sort of things you do there, and that is how it keeps a track of the applications and ensure that yes, your devices are your application data is not getting leaked anywhere. All right, and how to choose the right management solution within Intune? Yeah, we'll talk about that. What are the consideration for the devices? Yes, there are various platforms. As I said, Windows, Mac OS, iOS, and Linux is also part of that. So, and Android also. So, adding mobile devices, your iOS operating systems, and your Linux operating system. So, in short, it's covering all sort of platforms, okay, in the consideration for the device enrollment. And what are the requirements of using Intune? So we will discuss like what sort of licenses do we require, and how can we set up the tenant and all those stuff we will talk in next. Okay, so this is Microsoft Intune overview, and I'll just zoom in so you can better understand this. Okay, is it visible? All clear?
Yes.
Okay, so this is Microsoft Intune, okay, which is in the cloud. Okay, so this overall architecture, what it depicts, it says that your Intune is not alone, but it revolves, based out of the cloud-based services, which are designed within the cloud. Okay, so there is MDM and mobile device management, which is mobile device management and mobile application management. So two pillars which are there, which makes Intune more strong. So first thing first, when I'm talking about this self-service, so this self-service is something that you can create a self-service page or application access for your users without needing IT assistance. Okay, so that is how you can enhance the efficiency and your user satisfaction. So for example, I'm a user, I want to install some application, but I don't want to call service desk or just don't want to be on the wait on call. So मैं क्या करूँगा? I will click easily go to मेरे self service portal पे and punch in my username and my user ID, and I'll click on my reset the password or create a new password, and there I'll get the flexibility to create a new password for my account. Okay, or if I need any application for my device or maybe my mobile phone, so I can easily do that without needing any help from IT. Okay, so this is the first thing, which is called self-service. And let's come to web-based admin center. So this web-based admin center is something which you as an architect or you as an administrator will take this interface. Through this, you will manage the devices, application, Intune policies, and everything within your organization. So as we talked yesterday, we had already discussed this. Says Intune.Microsoft. Just a second. So yesterday we talked about this Intune.Microsoft.com. So this is a URL through which you will access this portal. Okay, clear? Now comes to apps. So what is app? So apps are like Intune manages the deployment of the application. Okay, you don't need to go anywhere else, but you can simply go and set up your applications and everything from Intune itself. You can protect your applications, ensuring that yes, applications which you are putting or you are deploying on devices, those are being protected. Okay. प्लस आप क्या कर सकते हो, आप सिक्योरली इन एप्स को मैनेज कर सकते हो उन डिवाइसेस पे without being your data compromised. Okay, so data protection is very crucial here. Okay, and if you want to remove any application, अगर आपको कोई application remove करना है तो without any intervention from your user you can easily do that. Okay, so this is a feature of application. Now next is, what is your identity? So identity is something that you manage for your users. Okay, what you do, how do you know that I'm a user, I'm from your company? Okay, how would you know? So by, if you have created a group and you have added me in that group, and if you have enforced the policies, okay, ensuring that the right person is having the right access, and that is how you ensures that yes, there is a custom rules which are defined and right policies assigned to manage the identity. And how this management happens, this is management through intra id. Okay, so this is the one. And then let's come to devices. So devices is something we talked about. They're like, now Intune is open for all the devices. It's not just your corporate devices. It is more open for your BYOD concept, which is also called bring your own device. So in this sense, what it focuses on, devices which are compliant. Okay, compliant means there are certain requirement that you have set, and if those devices are not meeting those requirements, then there is no compliance. Okay, conditional access. Conditional access means that you have created a certain organization policies, okay, and certain access rules that I should abide. मेरे को वो चीज आनी ही है, अगर मैं उस चीज को फुलफिल नहीं कर रहा हूँ, then I am not allowed to access anything on my devices pertaining to my corporate data. Okay, so that is crucial. And sometimes what happens, organizations, they do procure the devices. Okay, they own the device and they give it to their employees. Okay, and in some cases organization, they don't own the device, they simply ask your use your personal device, enroll it, and then use it, use the corporate access, corporate data. So how do you enroll? There is a tiny application, yesterday we talked about it, which is called Microsoft uh, company portal. Okay, through company portal you get your devices registered, enrolled, and everything will be done through company portal. So all the policies, check in, check out, signals, everything that comes from your company portal itself. Okay, then come to remote and hybrid workers. Okay, so this remote and hybrid workers, so what is it is mean that any person who is like managing Intune as an overall. Okay, so he can, without having any issues, can access and help users. Plus he, your users also, whether they are on remote, okay, whether they are in on premises workers, whether they are remote workers, you can ensure that yes, security and access level is properly intact, and it happens regardless of your location. So location does not matter here. Okay, then let's talk about the integration part. So how does integration works? So integration works with, when you are using any services which are coming from Microsoft. Okay, so like, if you are using SCCM, yes, you can integrate this with SCCM. If you willing to go with Microsoft, like the technology called Windows Autopilot, okay, you can definitely use it. Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, which is like a security mechanism, security layer, okay, which keeps on checking your security measures and then analyzes what is the state of your device, your application settings and encryption, everything, any threat or any anti-malware or any sort of malicious activities which is happening, then it is responsibly alerts at the time. Okay, Windows Auto patch. So Windows auto patch is a feature which allows you to uh, patch your devices without having any manual intervention. Okay, so we'll talk on that. Endpoint analytics, it is more of giving you analysis about your device, your apps, and everything, how the policies are being enforced, and where is the compliance going, all sort of things from the endpoint standpoint. You can take it. Okay, and Microsoft 365 is again your Office, your Teams, SharePoint, Outlook, all those stuff which comes into Microsoft 365 bucket, that is also there to integrate. Okay, so this is, and let's talk about the security. So security standpoint, as I saw talked, so two things which are uh, there. So first, I'll just take this person. This is called zero trust. So the zero trust is, it's a practice, okay, which involves endpoint to ensuring that security features are being followed on each devices, okay, with each access level, and it ensures that yes, security is maintained at every level. Okay, so it is not just it just given you privilege at first level and then you are good. No, it keeps on checking rigorously and it keeps on monitoring continuously. Okay, so that is the feature from coming from Microsoft Intune. And then reporting something, you can have the reports and data which helps you to ensure that yes, all sort of analytics that should help your organizations to monitor and you know secure. Okay, and ensures that yes, your compliance, your usage, your security postures through real time insights. Okay, so that is how you can identify what is happening with the devices, what is happening with the application, what user is doing, why this machine is device is non-compliant, and what sort of policies which are conflicting, and so many things, so many bulk information you get in a one shot in this reporting feature. Okay, so by utilizing these all, okay, together, so Microsoft Intune becomes such a big, it gives a big comprehensive and secure environment. Okay, so this is clear to everyone.
Yes, fine.
Okay. Okay, one more thing just to add here. Okay, so if you are like I just don't want to confuse you, but if you are using Android, then you need to connect with Google Play Store. Okay, if you are using Apple, so you need to connect with Apple, to download their certificates and their tokens. So then Intune allows you to connect. Then Apple actually allows you to connect to via Intune. And if you are using a TeamViewer application, you can definitely you integrate that. And if there is anything that you feel that there should be a threat defense management or something, so mobile threat defense services is already there in Intune, so you know to no need to worry about anything. All right, so this is clear to everyone, right? Moving ahead, if any questions, let's park in at the end of the class. Okay. uh, Okay, this is I thought of sharing. So zero trust is the biggest, the biggest factor here, which talks about more why zero trust, what it is, and all about how does it protect your organization's data. So zero protects here. It keeps on sending the signals. Okay, so if there is anything happening like device check-in, there is a signal gone. Okay, and if there is a real time risk happens, then signals there. Okay, if there is any application check-in happens, or if user is checking from a location which is different, then the signal goes. And how does it checks? So it verify every attempt, every access. Okay, so if anything that goes out of sync, okay, it will simply block the access. Okay, it will not allow. But if you say that I'm the right person, I have a username and password, and you are putting your credential. You're writing like your password and everything. You have your authenticator configured, and you're doing sort of password. You're putting those numeric numbers, or you're just approving on the authenticator itself. Then it allows you to further connect. Uh, with your what do you say? With your organization's network. Okay, but if you don't have anything, then you will be blocked. And if you have everything set up and checks in and it's finds well, then you have access to applications and data of your corporate. So that is where the security mechanism is really tight. Okay, it's very hard to penetrate, and it's really useful for you to uh, safeguard your data, safeguard your applications and everything, so you don't compromise out of security. Okay, clear? Now, next, what sort of term which combines data protection? How do you know that yes, your data is complying? Like, बोलने के लिए तो बहुत कुछ है, but what is actually working beyond behind the scenes? Okay, so here it says data protection is something which is the paramount priority for Microsoft to safeguarding your organization's data. So they don't just say that use my application, they also ensures that yes, your devices and applications data across any platforms, those are secured and safe. So first thing that comes, that is called app protection policies. So app protection policies is specially designed for your applications. So when you're transferring any data from your one app to another app, it ensures that there is a hash table that is followed, and that data gets encrypted in the hash value. For example, I'm just typing a password called PASSWRD, which is quite easier. Or maybe I'm just typing my first name at the rate 123, so something like that. If I'm typing, so again it will block right away that this password will not work. But if I'm putting any sort of new other password which is quite compliant, so what it does, it changes those into the hash values like 0 1 and other stuff. There's so many numeric numbers. I'll see if I can show you on website called password generator. Okay, so in that you can simply put any password, it will change the hash value of that password, so through which there is encryption which is there, and there is authentication at every interval. So that is where you are more secure with your organization's managed applications. Okay, second thing is called MAM, which is mobile application management. So this is also a feature which helps your data to protect on your mobile applications. So what it does, I think I have in the next slide, it just create sort of two this uh, access folder. So one, it says this as a users, okay, and one it says as a I think corporate. Okay, so there are two buckets, and in this, the users, you have your own application sort of things. Okay, and you have like downloaded whatever you have downloaded from any website or wherever. Okay, it is here. And corporate data is applications is something that is on the separate bucket. And sometimes you realize that yes, there is a lock icon, okay, that is also there, which all some applications, some operating systems, I would say, like in Redmi or other Oppo or other Chinese brands, they don't create a separate folder, but yes, they do help you segregating those by putting the small lock icon. Okay, you're using that, you understand that this is in a separate container, this is in a separate folder. That is where it saves, it ensures that your data leakage is not happening. So anything which is not approved, okay, will not have access to sensitive information. But anything which is approved by your organization and that application is there on the on device, so yes, you will have access to sensitive information of your company. And DLP, I think everyone is aware about it. What is DLP? So DLP stands for data loss. So this actually this policy, restrict you to sharing any sort of data outside from your applications or network. And if you're doing anything, maybe like on your webs on your company also, if most of the company they have banned chat gpt, so if you open in browser chat gpt, you will be questioned. There will be a big page come, क्यों चाहिए आपको, why do you want access? Okay, नीचे you need to submit, uh, you know you need to mention कि why I require this authorization. So without submitting that, you will not be able to access. And what if you're doing is still you're clicking on any way to continue, okay, you will be asked, like there will be an email come from your security team or some sort of uh, you know something happens from your ask why you require this unauthorized access. Okay, so that is also a part of DLP. So if any risk, anything which you feel like you can easily copy and paste, you can share that across, no, so DLP is there that will help you restricting. Okay, then conditional access, yesterday we talked about this. Conditional access, you can ensure that the right person or the right user is having the right access, and he's part of Entra ID, he's part of the container, he's having the right policies enforced, and he is having the right license assigned. Okay, so that is how it can help you access all sort of thing. And encryption, everyone is knowing encryption, as I said. If you're putting the normal uh, password, okay, it encrypts into different sort of mechanism. It changes into the hash value, and it is not just hash, only one hash value. Like if I am saying I'm putting a password like India @123, and that changes a hash value in 0 to some binary numbers and then alphanumeric and so many things it combines. So what it does, if I'm a hacker, I can simply take that hash value and I can revert whatever the password, I can easily guess it. But what it does, it changes that hash value to another hash value, it keeps on multi-folding it. Okay, so that is where the hacker or data leak or any sort of uh, data leakage, it especially doesn't work like that. So you, until you know the entire mechanism how does work, how does that work, you will not be able to do anything. So that is how your data is being protected in during there in the rest or in the transit as well. Okay, so this is again the same interface, okay, but is having more uh, detailed view of it. So you being as an uh, okay, you being as an admin, you have a console. Okay, from here, this with this console, you set up like your configuration and like your policies and everything. Okay, and then it you creates your policies and you set your configuration, profiles, you set the reporting and all sort of things, and you put that there on the cloud. So what Graph API does exactly, it is the, what I say, it is the main channel broker. Okay, so what it does, it is the one who sets the relation of your services to your cloud. Okay, so this is a really powerful unified endpoint mechanism which allows especially developers also and to your backend services to access to the wide range of Microsoft services. Okay, so this is gives also the real time data. So any check in check out which is happening in the background, it direct connects to the API. It pulls the data from there, it gives you, you send some data, it forwarded this to next API, and then so on so forth. Okay, and this also, there is like JSON format which runs in the background, and lots of authentication and authorization mechanism like OAuth 2.0, which is like OAuth is 2.0 is a protocol, okay, which helps you with authentication and authorization and ensures that yes, you have the right access before you sets your connects. And also if uh, it also defines the scopes of permission. So if you don't have appropriate permissions, you will not be able to access to the specific resources. So granular granular level, it keeps on checking the permissions and all. So anything, any data, any data modeling stuff, anything you're doing, and if you are connecting with this graph API, this is more robust, and this is the way of connecting to Microsoft services. There is no other uh, broker like who can transcript your data. Okay. Then the main uh, what I say, the main things coming from Microsoft Intune. So Microsoft Intune is especially, here what you do, you configure your devices. So for devices, what you do, you create the profiles. So generally we see that like profiles is what I'm a user and I have my profile, like if I log in with my username and password, then it creates a profile. Okay. And within that profile, I have my desktop, I have my documents, my files, my pictures, my photos, my emails, and all stuff. Okay. It's there. So that is profile, but here the profile term is a different. Okay, it's called configuration profiles, where you set certain settings. Okay, and you define those settings that your devices must comply with these, and if the settings is not met, then you will not be accessible to the resources. And configuration policies, where you create the policies to keep on checking things, ensuring that yes, the devices are meeting criteria, users are in sync, and all sort of policies is working fine. Okay. Then let's talk from here as a user. Okay. So here I'm a user. Okay. And I got a mobile. Okay. And I have enrolled that mobile. So what it happens, this is the container, you could see that, right? So this is a container which is your corporate, okay, sort of things. And this is where your the badge, sort of, or a label of key, comes. And this is like your personal stuff. Okay. So how does this work? First of all, through the telecom company. Okay, when you are trying to connect, there is a you know data leakage layer that is there behind it. Okay, let's keep on checking. Then there is another defense connector, mobile threat defense connector, which also keeps on assessing your mobile for any threat management. And then if it finds, well, then it sends that data for compliance calculation. And this is where you you have your data protection policies, your device compliance policies. This is especially for MAM. So data is especially for MAM. And this is where you set things and you ensure that yes, your devices are complying. Okay. Also, there is a network access control partner, which is for the on premises devices. So this, if these devices are also trying to connect, there will be a network access control partner that will also keep on checking and read the compliance information from these devices. Okay. And managed apps. So managed apps, like if you have any sort of LOB applications, which are line of business, or any other integration from any cloud applications. So this is where you can simply deploy and you can configure, remove whatever you want. You can do it from here. And you can also create app configuration policies, where you set they should not allow you to copy and paste. They should not be automatically uninstalled, or maybe user cannot forcefully do anything. Any update, it should automatically update by your organization and all those stuff. Then this thing comes Active Directory, which is now is Entra ID. So this this is a mechanism. This is where you sets all sort of authorization and authentication mechanism in behind the scene that that runs the logic. So when you sets a user, okay, when you sets a user in a group, okay, and that user will be targeted through a group targeting. And if the user is not part of this group, then he will not be having access to all sort of applications or any devices. And also through the conditional access devices, will, you know, be checked whether they are compliant or not. So intra ID is playing a very vital and crucial role here, okay, for checking and authorization and authentication. Okay. Now, what if you have any, SaaS based applications, which like software as, whereas you have put something on the cloud and you want to do, deploy in your Microsoft Intune or anything anywhere. So this will be also checked whether the certificates for that vendor or that application is authorized. Is it valid certificate and all stuff. And Microsoft 365, this is again coming from Microsoft. So this also gives you an integration. Using that, you can have your Outlook, your Office, your Excel, Teams, and all sort of things. You can do it from here. Okay. And if you are like Apple, like you have enrollment option for iOS devices, so you need to give a flexibility to download the application from the App Store itself. So this integration will also work. And if you are like Android users, so definitely you'll go to App Store and you'll download something from there. This option is also there. And Microsoft Store is also there, where you can, on your Windows devices, you can go store as. So majority of the enterprises, they do not allow you to download anything until it's like very small tiny software which is very common to use, and does not require much authorization or something like that. So you can allow. Otherwise, Microsoft stores, I don't see that it's enabled for all users. It's mostly, it's you know not configured. You will get an error message like your organization does not allow you to access Microsoft Store, something like that. Okay. And custom web apps. So most of the company, they feel like, why should I not create a script or something, and I should create some custom applications to deploy on my users devices just for a pilot, or maybe later on they want to consume that as a LOB application, so they can also do that. And LOB is again line of business application, which is like a legacy applications as well, which is quite old, which is quite robust, and those are the pillars for that organization. Like for me, I had worked with a healthcare company where they have so many line of business applications that they wanted to be there on all the devices. So yes, it depends upon how does your enterprise configure things, and how what are their requirements, and so far and so forth. Okay. So sorry, so this was the structure. Okay. Now this is more of, that was more of, this is that was more of graphical, and this is where we are talking about more in generic. What are the features you get? So first feature is what you get: the centralized location, centralized console. So you only need a laptop, internet connection, and a browser. That's it, and you can simply manage everything and each and everything from the console itself. Okay. Second thing is, if you are doing any deployment of any software and updates, you can do it. Okay. You want to set some configuration settings, you can do it. You want to enforce the policies and all, you can do it. And you can monitor the devices and run the report and identify like how many like I have Windows devices, how many devices which are on older version, or operating system is quite old. We need to enforce uh, these users to update their software on the devices. Maybe if they're Android, then they should go to version 14, or 13, 14, whatever, whatever the recent one. Okay. Or and minus one, they can do it. So remote administration is also a feature given. So through remote administration, you can connect with your users device, and you can fix the problem, you can educate them, you can walk them through, and that's it. And maintain the networks of common operating systems. That is also a best feature. And optimize your devices for business use. For example, I have a camera enabled phone, but I'm working in a factory. Yesterday we talked about it, and I don't want camera to be enabled, so he can upload the pictures. He can just take the pictures and upload it somewhere. So that restriction is as per the business use cases we can put. And we can automate the policy for our devices. We should not wait for a manual effort to update. And cloud attach on your SCCM. So cloud attach is something you are enrolling your tenant with your configuration management. You're registering actually. Okay. With mobile device management, yes, you can enroll the user's devices. You can push apps on the devices. You can restrict devices for a specific OS. Okay, you can block personal devices. Okay, especially you can remove the data. So removal in sense like I am working with a company. I lost my phone. What next? So I'll call to my IT team that I just lost my phone. What do? So with iOS there is a flexibility to ensure that there is a find my phone feature is there, and there is a quick way to retiring the device, and it as soon it connects to the network, it just wipes out the corporate data. Okay. With Android this flexibility is not there, but yes, if you're deleting the device you're ensuring that nothing left, or if you want to reset or factory reset the device, you can also do it. Okay. And security and protection is always inclined with your Intune infrastructure, so you don't need to worry. Mobile application management, this is where it allows personal users, I mean personal devices to be carried in your environment, and ensure that yes, all the security measures are followed, and then you have access to organization resources. Okay. This prompts users to authenticate. If they're not authenticating, they will not be able to. Sometimes I have like Google Chrome on my Android phone, and when I'm trying to access my corporate emails through a browser, it keeps on asking me for authentication. And if I fail to do so, it will not allow me access it further. So it happens with me many a time. So I think everyone has experienced the same. But without authentication you won't be able to access. And removal of data, as we talked already, through the MAM also. If there is any application pertaining to corporate, it will be removed, okay, from the device. And security and protection remains same, we talked about it already. Okay. And so this architecture is more of governed, okay, by these, like first of all Intune as a service. Okay, lots of things as you see there. And there is integration with Azure Active Directory, which is formerly now as Intra ID, and Microsoft Endpoint Manager, which is your SCCM, that is also there. Device management, through device management you can define like what sort of devices would you like to bring in your infrastructure. App management gives you the flexibility to download, install, remove different type of apps, as we discussed in previous slide. Conditional access ensures that the right person is doing the right access, and integration with other services, as we already talked about it. Okay. So that's for the Intune architecture. We talked about two pillars. So one is MDM, and the second one is your MAM. So MDM especially works for the devices, and MAM especially works for the applications. Okay, so applications, if you have installed you on the device, you can easily manage it. Okay. MDM do require uh, enrollment, and sometimes MM does not require you for any sort of enrollment. You can simply go and access it. And the best feature of MAM is this, okay, which is called copy paste restriction. So if you have noticed, if you are having if you have enrolled your device and you're having the corporate applications, so you would see that yes, there is some sort of if you copy something from your email and you just try to paste in your WhatsApp or anywhere, okay, so it will give you a message that your organization has blocked this facility or functionality on to copy or paste the data, something like that. I mean, you get it. So which means that the restriction of MAM is enforced, and if there is any unmanaged applications or anything that is there, you will not be able to access or copy and paste the data. Okay, though you can copy from your personal to your office. Maybe you are just drafting some email and you feel like, okay, I should take a help from ChatGPT, or maybe Autopilot or some Copilot or something. So you can do it from there, but you can not paste anything from your company to your personal. And MDM do provide some granular, settings, which is more robust. So first thing, yesterday I think we talked about the jailbroken devices. So jailbroken, which we tweak with operating system, we make changes, and then we install on top of the operating system which is there. Maybe we remove it and then we install it to the next higher version with more functionality and more locks, unlocked. So that is what the jailbroken is, something which you do not have functionality feature enabled, and you still breaking that rule and you are taking those extra features as an advantage, and then you are jailbroken. And then even though company also does not, they also do not take the responsibilities for these devices. They gets out of warranty. And also, if you want to disable the camera access, okay, or email access for some authorized use applications, you can do it. Okay, and apart from that, you don't have any issues with the accessing the device. But still, if it is something related to your corporate data, you will be restricted for that. Okay, so these were the two pillars. Okay, and let's talk about the features and benefit. So overall, in a one shot, I would say that these features are quite crucial and essential. Okay, compliance policies, your integration with SCCM, Windows Update Management, which automatically takes the, as you know, that Microsoft releases patch every second Tuesday, and we sync it in configuration manager and then we deploy it to the other machines. But here it automatically takes those patches and gets deployed through the ring. Okay, we'll talk on that. We'll try setting up in the lab and check. And conditional access, we already talked. Endpoint security, we already talked. MDF, we have already talked. So these key features make this product or Microsoft Intune more environment friendly and more, for corporate usage. Okay, so I've just elaborated a bit more for this Microsoft Intune. What it does, it gives you a tool set sort of things. So with this, you can set the configuration settings, you can enforce the policies, you can monitor the data, and you can run the various reports. Okay, to identify how things are happening, whether those things are going in sync or not. You can do it, and you can administer your devices, whether you are like available those devices physically with you or virtually. You can also manage those devices regardless of their physical locations. Okay, all operating systems, we already talked about this point. Okay, automated policy management, so you can set certain features which are defined. So as soon device gets checked in over the cloud or over the network, okay, security and compliance policies will be enforced. और उससे क्या होगा, जैसे ही policies enforce होगी, you will be banned if you are not the legitimate user or with having a legitimate access. Okay, and this is where you can optimize things. You have a single point of management for the devices, and you can easily secure and protect the data for all the devices without any trouble. Okay, now what are the benefits of using it? Because yeah, I understand that Microsoft offers too many things, but I need some points to understand. Okay, so quick points which I have curated. One thing is like, yes, your mobile device is your asset. Okay, and it is enrolled. So without having an enrollment program, you will not be having access to corporate network. And once the enrollment is done successfully, then you will have a control access, because your Microsoft in company portal starts talking to your Intune, and that is where everything gets into sync. You can also de- deploy or retire the devices. Okay, so you have that flexibility. You can easily wipe out data from your disabled devices, maybe if those are lost or stolen. Okay, and if there is any uh, platform restrictions are happening or anything that you feel that should not know, so you have accessibility to all sort of platforms. Okay, and security standard is already there. Wi-Fi and VPN. So you have sort of mechanism where you can push the certificate for your Wi-Fi, for your corporate Wi-Fi. So as soon if I'm walking into your premises and I have my personal device, and if I think I should connect to your company Wi-Fi, I won't be able to until I verify with my login credential. If I'm not authorized person of, if I'm not employee, if I'm not authorized person, I won't be able to connect to that Wi-Fi. And also there are Microsoft VPN tunnels through which it ensures that your emails and other stuff are being securely managed. Okay, plus collecting reports sort of things. Yes, all sort of compliance report for your users and devices you can do, and this is a centralized management uh, way through managing or tracking your users and devices together at one place. Okay, licensing term, yesterday we talked about it, but I'll just rephrase it again. So licenses, all sort of, if you feel that Microsoft is not having only Microsoft licenses or something. No, you have all type of way of accessing Intune. So majority of the company are either using E5 or E3. They can, they have flexibility to access Microsoft Intune that comes a part of this family. Okay. And if you are a government employee or frontline worker or something like that, so you can also have flexibility accessing this. And if you're running education, if you are part of any college or student, you can also opt Microsoft Intune by availing a education license. So with the education license, there are two licenses which comes to A5 and A3. So you can also implement this in any institute or organization or colleges or school, whatever. Okay, so that was the licensing part. This is yesterday we talked on this, and we talked more about the capabilities and other features, but just to give you just and a quick revision. So three types of licenses are available. One is plan 1, plan 2, and plan 3. And what I'll do today, yesterday I thought of sharing all the documents and necessary links, but I will do it today. I will send the document also. Yesterday we talked about it. So that is a secure document, that password encrypted. So I'll only send that to those who are actually currently enrolled with the class, and we will get free access to all sort of interview questions as well, so which I'll talk, gradually when as soon we will keep on moving. So this is the plan of availing enterprises for Intune. So there are various ways of availing Microsoft Intune, but if you want to go with a specific feature, okay, as we compared all these three plans, and we ensured that yes, we are looking for some certain features, like you don't want a remote help, for example, and you don't want some other settings, and you just want to go with the quick, or you're just doing a trial, you just wanted to understand how things work, so you are understanding before implementing in a wide range. So you can do with plan 1. Plan 2 is something for personal, you can connect with Microsoft, you can get the data. And in suite is like the all sort of capabilities coming from P1 and plan 1 and 2, and then it combines here. So this is the topmost with a higher privilege and all sort of features available. So I'll share the link to quick run through. Now, how does the cycle works for your devices? So first thing first, you need to enroll the device. So either you can do a self service, by your own, you can download company portal and do the download, or you can do a bulk enrollment where you're like a business manager will take it, like with Apple Business Manager. What it does, they have a flexibility of doing 1000 devices at one time in a one go. Okay, so first you do enrollment, and once the enrollment is done, the configuration, deployment of settings, you get the applications and everything. Then these devices are being protected through the secured policies and updates, and you have flexibility to run the report of the inventory and identify like what is there on the device, what is the firmware version, what is the RAM version, what is the storage, what sort of like if you do the Discover app, you will get to see what sort of applications installed on that device. So many things are there that you can easily do through this, and it also can help you to performing the remote task without, you know, oversetting it over the network. Okay, so whatever you're doing as an action, it will not be compromised over the network. And retirement, as I said, you can do a full factory reset in case of theft or stolen, or you can do the delete the device. Okay, in using that management profile, gets deleted. For Apple, I'm saying management profile gets deleted on the device, and then you start enrollment as a fresh. Or if you have Android, okay, so there's no management profile, but yes, there is another profile which that gets created in background. So we'll talk about this later. Okay, how does this secure app work? We talked about this. So as soon you gets yourself enrolled, so this is like a two containers created. One is for your corporate. Okay, this is your corporate, so you see this badge or small lock icon. Okay, that is how you identify this is your corporate data. And if there is no lock icon, then this is not your personal, I mean, this one is your personal. Okay, and if you go to devices, so overall this device management is done through the policies, and you can ensure that yes, your devices are following all sort of so like this is like a lock mechanism. Okay, so if you're not authorized, you will not be able to access the lock, and you'll not be able to get inside. Okay, so yesterday someone asked me about the MAM. So how does MAM works? uh, I think this is a easiest way to understand how does I'm sorry, this was in a different corporate training. Okay, so this is how the Intune and MAM policies work. So as soon you do the enrollment, your device having gets the ring fencing apps. Okay, so one app with the app lock, and the second one is without. So personal one is either if you have Hotmail or any other personal email ID, Gmail, you can access your personal emails. But if you are having any sort of I would say if you're having any sort of personal thing and you don't have any corporate email addresses or anything, you won't be able to access any corporate data. Okay, so keep in mind that's the key factor. For email attachment, for example, I have email attachment and I have several things in that, like I have a crucial uh, Excel file or Word file or something like that, and I want to ensure that yes, I have access to that. So no, you will not be able to do anything like a copy paste or something. Those will be only allowed within company applications to company application. You will not be having flexibility or to copy and paste to your personal storage. No. And if you are using a OneDrive, so you can do all download here in OneDrive, and then you can access it to your OneDrive and you can check in. Okay, so that is how the MAM protection works. Okay, tenant setup. With the tenant setup, as I talked, so if you are a like user of Microsoft Endpoint, like, or if you're an IT administrator, you have still access to configuration manager. So what you can do, you can do the tenant attach. Okay, tenant attach is something that you go to your SCCM, you sign in with your tenant ID, and that is where it register, and that's it. So once it's registered, you have flexibility to once it's registered. So let's understand one thing. This configuration manager, okay, works only on premises. Okay, and this is only working for the domain joined PCs. Okay, it does not have flexibility to connect devices which are not on domain. Okay, so any policies that you want, you can do it with configuration manager, pertaining and restricted to devices which are only domain joined. Okay, now there is a feature that is called co-management. Okay, so what does co-management do? Co-management takes these on-premises devices in the cloud. Okay, so this is where you have flexibility to use it as a MDM. Okay, You can set and enforce the policies. You can do auto patch and deploy uh, various updates and ensure that yes, you don't have any dependency on configuration manager. So in our current, I would say, environment, we are not dependent on configuration manager. We are more of 80% moved into Intune, and we are least bothered using configuration manager now. Okay, so that is the one thing. Plus, if you are independently doing it for from Intune side itself, so Intune, gives you this cloud native management through which you can manage Windows and mobile devices without have any issues. Okay, so all policies and everything you can put here. You can set all things and you can download and deploy it. That's it. Okay, so that's the MAM protection. Okay, and tenant, sorry, it's a tenant setup. Okay, now co-management, how does it work? Co-management is something which gives you sets the workloads. So if I say I am I want to set all sort of compliance policies through Intune. Okay, I'm not gonna dependent. So you can either create it on configuration manager or you can create it in Intune. But here you have flexibility to share that workload and device configuration. So if you are setting up any sort of configuration, device configuration settings, so either you can take it to Intune or you can take it here. And endpoint protection, it's better to do it from Intune. And resource access policies, you can set it up. So according to your uh, client's requirement, you can change the settings. Okay, for office clicks, run and all, and Windows update policies. So we have set Windows update policies from here. Clients apps is already we are doing through Software Central. So everything we are pushing it directly to Intune. We're not dependent on anything on SCCM. Auto patch is already there, as I said. So this is how you can manage your devices from on-prem to cloud. Okay, so few things which you can simply do: can set the compliance policies, device configuration, endpoint protection, your client app installation, office click and run, and your Windows update policies. So these 6 features are there to enable you share your workload from your Intune to cloud. Okay, now Windows Autopilot. Uh, so let's discuss what is Windows Autopilot. Like, how does the imaging works in behind the scene, or maybe 20 years back? Uh, it was quite tedious. Anyone wants to speak on this? How was imaging working earlier?
Yeah, Vaibhav. So basically, it was manually. First, we started with CDs, and
Mhm.
then with the ISO files, with the USB sticks, and then from SCCM
Mhm. Yeah.
using task sequence. And now
Yeah.
we are uh, extracting the hash keys and putting into the uh, Intune, and then sending it the images through Autopilot.
Right. So it was really cumbersome for 20 years back. Jab, as an admin, I've seen people. I have so many people who are like 20 years, 25 years older than me. They share that knowledge कि उस वक्त imaging बहुत tough होता था. They used to take USB key and go to each device's plug-in, start, all sort of pixies and all, do it. Pixie was, later on they started using Pixie, and then over the network they started doing all sort of things. But they running after with the USB key for all devices to image, prepare, give it to user next morning or next, or maybe in a week or something. So they had a very tough time doing this activity. And now they like share the knowledge, like how things have been streamlined, and how Microsoft have come up with so many various things, and small changes had made their life easy. But now everything is out of the blue, they like with cloud. Those people who are having a very good knowledge of task sequence and other stuff, they were like very good with the image picking, doing all sort of injecting the drivers and all sort of things they were doing. They were so masters in that. Uh, Actually, you will see there is a paradigm shift, and if you're not changing your mindset from on premises to cloud, or you're not acquiring the knowledge, or you're not ready to accept, sometimes I see those people like 20 years they were doing only this task imaging. Now they're not ready because new people they have come like you guys. नए लोग नए टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ आ रहे हैं and they are doing it flawlessly. Okay, and they're not ready to accept they're taking it as a competition. So many of people they are like 25 years with the company, they have left the organization just because of their ego parts. Okay, so technology is something it's keep on changing, it's keep on acquiring the new changes. So now AI has come, all operating systems are like in building those AI techniques. So why not? Okay, why not change ourselves? Okay, let's talk about the Copilot. So Copilot, what it is? Copilot is something, when I say you having a cloud-based thing where you, as you mentioned, uh, you have a vendor, okay, who's actually doing all sort of cloud. He's what he's doing. So hash ID is something your device ID. Okay, there is a PowerShell script that you run, and you get the device information in a ID series, and that Excel data, you just upload that to Windows Autopilot. Over Windows Autopilot is again a piece of Microsoft Intune. So this is especially for the imaging. So when he does it, okay, then what he does, he simply shift that laptop, okay, and that laptop simply goes to your user. Okay, so it is like he's a vendor, he directly shipped it to this, okay, home. So he or she does not know why or how should I do imaging and all. He does not know about anything. He is just knowing her username and password of the company. Okay, and that's it. So how does thing work actually? If you remember this, if you see this guy, uh, what do you feel? Who is he? Who is this guy? So he's an IT admin. He's you. Okay,
Intune,
you
Intune engineer.
Intune engineer. Yes. So he's a Superman. He's the one who's setting up logics behind everything, and he's doing all sort of activities behind the scenes. So this vendor does not have any idea what you're doing. Okay. So what you do, you set a autopilot profile. You set all sort of configuration. Okay, and you put it here. Okay, then what it does, this machine connects to Intune, okay, and it goes into o o b e, okay, OB, which is again your out of box experience. So that user does not even know where is my company. Like during the COVID, people have joined so many companies, but they do not know exactly where the company exists. Okay, they have just address, but they never visited to that. So in that case, what happens that computer automatically connects to the network, it self deploys and takes out all sort of configurations, settings, profile, application, everything which are configured by this gentleman. Okay, and also what he's doing, he's also looking for the existing device. For example, I have Windows 10, Windows 11, okay, and I'm looking for these devices. So what I do, I extract those devices ID, okay, and I put that in your Windows Autopilot. Okay, so once it's extracted and uploaded, it automatically you reset those devices, okay, and then you re-log in with your login credential, and then it starts syncing and taking out the data from Autopilot itself. Okay, so this is how it has cut short all human efforts and has made things really easy. Okay, this is a product family. Just wanted to give a quick run through. Okay, we have already discussed so many things, but just to give you a gist, so this family we have already discussed. Okay, endpoint configuration and all protect data and all the stuff. So Intune suite, as we said, there's a license which follow along, which comes with all sort of these things. Then your Windows Pilot is also part of this Intune service. Endpoint Analytics is also part of this. And Intune Data Warehouse is something which gives you plenty of information about the devices of about the backend logic and all sort of things. It's quite big. It's a big huge topic. We'll talk on this. Okay, data warehouse and log analytics is something that if you doing any sort of troubleshooting and you require some sort of logs, so you can run this analytics and you can identify what's the problem. And this we already talked, like mobile threat defense connector is there. So this is especially for your MAM applications. Okay, and tunnel goes for your devices to checks whether your device is compliant or not. Maybe if you have not set the right policy, if you have not the right operating system, or any other parameter which is not meeting for the device as per the company standard, it will fall down and it will not be compliant. Okay, so this is one thing. Windows Update for business deployment, as I said, Windows uh, auto patch we have enabled. So for Windows, especially, we have enabled this service. Using that, we connect and download and install the patches and all sort of things we can do. And network access controller, what it does, it's keep on checking that yes, if you are connected to on-premises network or if you are on your own network, so yes, you need to comply with defense connector and with your network provider. It should give you some sort of certificate to validate yes, you have access, you have right access to the right network. You're not like you're going to Starbucks or any other platform, you just connected, and if your VPN sort of things which does not checks the certificate, it will be a really tough time for the corporation's data to be leaked. Okay, and defender for your managing the devices and ensuring that yes, your encryption and security policies are applied rightly on these devices. So this is the biggest friendly one. Okay, that is there. And authorization and authentication, we already talked about it. So it's something that without conditional access, okay, you won't be able to comply connecting with App Store or Google Play or Microsoft Store. And if you have any web application or SaaS based application, so you need to check, you need to have the authorization. And enter ID is the crucial background, or maybe I would say the biggest factor of having this. So this is why the Intune is being so secure and so worthy enough to be on the cloud network. Okay, and conditional access, we already talked all these. So this is overall the product family. So so many things which supports Intune. That is why Intune stands out from other MDM authorities or MDM applications available in the uh, market. Okay, now behind the scene, it's really it is gonna be take time, but I'll just quickly run through. So this ASU is something which is like your location, your tenant location. So Microsoft is like it's globally available and so many data centers across. So cloud data centers is like they have like spread it out across the globe. So you don't need to worry about scaling it up, or you need to don't worry about for any sort of latency or legacy. Latency in terms of connecting with any legacy over the network, because they have changed all sort of things with the new parameters, new sets of standards. Okay, so first thing is that your scaling. Second thing is user experience instances. So this is where your interface comes into the picture. Okay, this is where you interact with various services. Logics, which is running in backgrounds, what sort of you create configuration policies and profiles, or all sort of baselines and all that logics it builds here, that's connect. And storage, where you store where it stores all sort of your data, your check-in, check-out, your policies, and all sort of things, your application push and all that takes here. And Graph API is the one who interacts with all sort of APIs in background. and this is really important. And set of microservices, so like 400 plus microservices which are involved in the behind the scenes, which runs in the background, and that's where you have flexibility to access those sort of microservices to connect for various things. Like if I'm doing a retire of the device, then retire, wipe, uh, factory reset, or just changing the authentication method for a user. So these services do involve. And Intune runs on a Azure VM computing. So it is one runs on the VM, and that is you have accessibility. And Azure region, which is like divided by the region wise. So if I say I'm in India and I want to set up something in the UK, maybe, so I need to set something which is quite uh, easy to connect and nearby to the location. So that is how I have a data redundancy. That is how I can ensure that yes, my network services or anything is working fine. Okay, I don't have any slowness in between. So this was a server side. It's like overview. If you go to your client network, okay, how does this work? So I've already elaborated all this in previous video. I have that video, I'll share that with you, which is where everything is mentioned. And I just don't want to spend much time because we're already running short. But yes, everything is there. So agent, parser, agent is something which like your company porter, parser which transforms the data, which translate it through gateways where it connects to a gateway, notification hub which sends the notification to the user. Okay, and this is a customer's program. So all sort of things we have covered. So I'll give you the detailed video for that. Okay. And now so many people are very accustomed of like they're very much thoughtful to bringing their own devices, okay, in the corporate network, and they flaunting like without any issues. So in this case, what it can do, okay, it allows for Android especially, it allows to create the work profile. You should have a company own corporate based dedicated devices, like company they paid it and they purchased it. Single app kiosk, like for if you go to any outlet or retail shops, okay, maybe Max or something, or fashion or wherever, so you will get there is a small tablet there which is open, and your that company website is open, where you can simply put your email or maybe your mobile number, you get the OTP, authenticate, you select the product, and then you put it in the cart, put your addresses, and just check out with your credit card or UPI, whatever. So single kiosk, point of sale devices, all these devices are can be easily managed through Intune. And if corporate also, these profiles will discuss in details. Okay, these are can be easily managed for Android and BYOD devices. Okay, plus if you are having a Linux device, so Linux is also like you can have a Microsoft Edge installed there, and then you install Microsoft Intune app, which is there as a company portal. And then what compliances, what things do you do? You can do a compliance, run, and you can check, you can do script, you can run the script. These are two supported features right now. So Linux is still part of discussion. Intune is having so many, you know, uh, contracts, various things to do with Linux. So that is like that's how they got only small chunk of piece to do right now. And with Windows, what you can do, you can set auto enrollment, as we talked about this through group group policy. Windows Autopilot. So during provisioning, if you are if you want to change something, if you want to set some apps to download and install on the device on Windows Autopilot, you can do that. Co-management with SCCM, yes, you can add the device into the collection and set the policies on that collection, and that is how you will start seeing the sync happening from from Intune to your uh, from SCCM to Intune. Okay, and if you are bringing your own devices, okay, so you have flexibility for single sign-on feature, but that is also conditional based. If you're not having the right access, you won't be able to. company portal sign in is there. So as soon you log into company portal, you are like single sign on works, and you have authorization to work on all corporate applications. Some sort of terms conditions are there. So terms condition is like you need to have the device domain joined if you're working with Windows and all, and if the devices are not connected with intra ID, and if those are not synced, it will be tough time for you to manage. Okay. And intra ID, which was like earlier Azure ID. So this is a cloud-based service which facilitate access management services. Some sort of co-management, we already talked about it. For Windows 10 and later devices, you can easily manage those. Conditional access policies, we have talked so much. This especially runs on if and then mechanism. So if you want to access some resources, then you need to complete certain action, and if you're not doing so, you will not be able to allow to access. Okay. And administrative unit means you can set the users in a group or your devices in a group, and then you enforce the policies in this container, and then it will start applying it on the user's device. So that's terms condition. This is getting started. So I'll send these Windows docs that you guys can refer and you can read it out. All right. And overall course structure, think I just missed it. Okay. So course structured. So this is a course in Intune getting started course structure. So this is where we are currently talking about the first thing, Intune full introduction, licensing and setup. Then we'll go to walkthrough, okay, of console. This is all I've already done in the uh, yesterday's call, but we will do again. And setting up Azure AD Connect, we'll do so. So for that, we need to set up the environment. And having said that, it's just not me; it's everyone who are participating and want to willing to learn. They should set it up the environment, so that will help to set up the devices. And I want to see like what policy do you create, and I just want to deploy on my machine, and I check like whether that is correct or not. Okay. And type of enrollment, we'll talk about that, and all sort of autopilot deployments. It is really deep discussion we'll have, and lots many things to talk on. And hybrid Azure ID, Autopilot, and all will check. Microsoft Graph, there are some certain PowerShell scripts which we will see, will tweak and check if that works. Then PK CS deployment, we'll talk on that. And so many things are lined up in the coming sessions, and these are the very detailed, like troubleshooting, detailed configuring sort of things. So you need to be prepared. If your environment is not set up, it will be really tough time for us to manage things. So what do you require to do? And last in this course, we'll talk about the migration part. Okay, we will do all sort of Windows on-premises devices to cloud, and we'll check how does things work, what sort of things do we need to carry in mind before enrolling. So to do, I'll just see what I have to share. So this developer program is something I require you guys to join. Okay. And sort of benefits, let me see if this goes into. So this is the developer subscription program, and this is talking about what sort of in description in this developer subscription, what sort of things do you check. So you get plenty of the subscriptions which are already in place. Okay, that is for our requirement. And you see that Microsoft Intune is part of it. Okay, so Microsoft Intune, and we have Intra with P1 and P2. So those two things only we require for our lab purposes. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to go back, and we need to go to this URL. Okay, join now. You put your email address, your details, and it does not charge you for anything. Okay, it's just free. So this will give you developer subscription E5 developer subscription details. This is like whole for your Intune for 90 days. Okay, What next you require? So once this is done, you will require another link. Does not ask you for any registration. You can simply go and download it directly from that. So what does that kit do? Okay, in that kit you will have uh, all sort of plans and prepare infrastructure. Okay, so if you are doing CMG, cloud management gateway, so you can do it. You can do the Tenant attach. Okay, you can switch the workloads, analytics, Windows 11 update delivery. With For Windows 11, we'll do all sort of form configuration manager. We can set up the task sequence, but that is out of our scope for this course. So Windows Autopilot will do servicing. We will do all. We'll check how does thing work, and deployment of various applications through Microsoft Intune. We will do, and enterprise level deployment will try to do some sort of things. We will do the deployment of ADMX group policies. Okay, sort of. So this is the requirement. So for this lab, what do you require? You need to have Hyper-V enabled on your machine. Okay, I have a script. I'll give it to you. So using that script, you can enable Hyper-V, and then you should have access to administrative right. You should have 150 GB of free disk space at least. Okay, and 16 GB of available memory. If there is 32, then it's recommended and it's really good. Okay, so I'll get the right link. So two things that is your to do. One, to prepare, set up for developer account for your Intune subscription, and the second one, setting up this lab. So once the lab is ready, we guys are good to go to start. From the next week, we are going to perform all sort of things live, and whatever I'm doing, I request also follow along. All right. So I'll share this shortly, maybe by end of the day today. All the details will be shared, and the document which I talked yesterday, which that will also be added. Okay, and all sort of these recordings which I'm doing, that will be available uh, on the YouTube for the time being, but will be restricted, and it will not be. It will be like unlisted. You will have only access to the link. Through link, you can access those, and you're required not to share with anyone. Okay, so that's it for today, and I really thank you for everyone for your active participations. Any questions, any doubt, please feel free to ask.
Yeah, hello.
Yep. Hi.
Oh,
So where do we enable co-management basically? Is that on SCCM server? And if so, and what are the prerequisites?
Okay, so that is part of our discussion. We are currently at beginner level, so co-management is also covered in this class. Okay, so co-management, especially you do it on server. Okay,
Okay, on the SCCM
on the
server.
SCCM server, right? So in co-management, what it does, you attach the tenant, means you logging in with your tenant ID, and once it's done, you enable co-management settings, and then you deploy that to a console, like a collection. Once those devices are getting added to that particular collection, it applies those settings, and those machines getting auto shifted from, like, you start appearing in your Intune as well. So that is what the co-management does. Okay, I will, we'll have a live
Yeah,
demo for
got
that.
it.
So
Yeah.
we'll have
So the basic information, yeah, I got it. What I was looking for. Yeah. So
Yes,
it is on SCCM server. We do it, the co-management, and then it does. Okay.
yeah. So if
Wait.
there is no extra license or something that is required, it's just a small settings. Like once you have tenant set up, then that's why I want you guys to do live with me. Okay, especially if I'm showing you up and you're not performing this by your hand, you will not be able to understand the terms and technology. Okay.
Okay. So the another question is, we have been talking about conditional access.
Mhm.
So where do we write or set this conditional access? Is it in Azure, Entra, or on Intune itself? Intune portal, Intune administrator portal itself.
So conditional access, whatever you're creating, that is again, Azure ID, your intra ID is a backbone for that. So any authorization or any authentication which is happening, that only goes with intra itself. Okay, so conditional access, whatever you are creating, that is also getting created on your intra, and through intra all those policies are being validated, and then you have access, then you enforce those conditional access to for that user or device.
Okay. So for the MDM and MAM or for the other devices, all the
Mhm.
conditional accesses are set on Microsoft Entra, right? So
Yes. So in
depending on-
Intune, use in Intune, like you go to, like, or if you go to portal.azure.com, okay, and there you set your, like, if you go to security over there, so you have access in the left hand side. If you check the security, then there in security you have access, given conditional access. So in the conditional access, you create a new policy, you give a name of that policy. So in conditional access, for example, I want to require MFA for VPN access. Okay, so I'll set that, and then I'll assign that for my users or group. And having said that, once these users and access devices are part of that group, then you can specify what type of actions should we take. So you can click on cloud apps or actions. Okay, that you can specify which app or which action should this policy apply to. Okay, and then you set the certain condition, like your device platform, maybe your location, certain things like that. Okay, and once those conditions are met, then you click on grant. Okay, and then uh, you have access, you set those policies, you enforce that, you enable that actually, and then you review and create. That's it. So after doing this, once you enforce, so I'm as a user, once I get those policies. So if I'm not MFA compliant, my access will be blocked. If my device is not following the certain conditions which you enabled, I will not be able to check in.
okay, got it. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. So any questions, or we're good to wind up for today's?
Hello?
Yep, Vimla.
Yeah. So why would what about like networking thing here in the Intune? So how is it? I mean, how it is structured and how should we get to know about that?
So, like, your question is, how does networking works? Is that
Yeah. Yeah.
okay? So I think I already talked about in the graph, when the networking is something which is already encrypted, and through the VPN tunnel, you get all sort of thing. And network is something, there is a concept like in your encryption is run through your Azure side. Okay, so all your TCP, HTTPS, and all sort of ports are being reviewed. So during the data transfer, as I talked about the DLP, so that ensures that the packets which are being created or which are being sent out to the recipient's IP address, that should be, in a valid network range. Okay, so many things which is behind, like uh, so many protocols which are involved, to be very honest. In as a network administrator, I'm not the network administrator, so but there's lots of behind the scenes packets and all user sequencing that happens. That is how your host configuration protocol and like DSCP and all certificates, those are involved in backend. Okay, the connection setups and all. So that is how it safeguard your. So that is it, how it is works. Okay, any questions?
Yeah, Vibhav.
Yep. Hi.
Yeah, regarding the lab for the prerequisite, do we need the real device or is it in
So
the
Hyper-V, for Hyper-V, you need to require a device. Okay, and I don't offer you, like, I don't say that you go and do Azure VM or something. That is there 30 days, that is free, but I don't recommend, because I see so many of subscriptions, they have, like, people, they have been charged unnecessary. So it's better to, if you have your laptop, I think everyone is having their home laptop, so you can simply set up Hyper-V. It's enabled. I'll give you the script. You enable it, you download. So that download is something 21.7 GB or 21.6 GB of that. and you just run the setup, and then it will auto configure your in Hyper-V. It will automatically configure your configuration manager setup VM. One for your Active Directory and a DNS, and one it will create for your Windows 11 or Windows 10. Okay, so these will be automatically created. Okay, so that is the only requirement. Otherwise, Tenant, like setting up your account over the cloud, you can easily do it through the browser, and that's it. We are good. So then we can start doing all sort of labs.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone. Thanks for joining. And I hope meeting you next week, Saturday, Sunday, 12:30 at the same time. I hope the session was informative and you guys are truly, getting it valued. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Just send the links for
Thank
those
you very
so we can set up.
Yes. I will today, end of the day, you will get instructions about how to set up the lab. Okay, and instruction about the file which I yesterday talked about, that is already there on the drive. You just need to send the link, and that is the encrypted one. So when you get the file, you just budge me, I'll give you the password. Okay,
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks for the today's class. Take care, guys. Cheers. Bye.
So
So required yesterday's link recording link.
Sorry, who was that? Swapnil, regarding that recording, I have already, like yesterday, I didn't upload it yet. So once I upload it, I'll share the links in the group. Okay.
Which group, sir?
So there is a group that I'll create for the enrolled candidates who can access to that group and can access to the various resources. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank-
Thanks.